Now that we have all of our points created and we're ready to do layout, we want to go ahead and export those points out to a field controller. Trimble field points allows us to use or export in various formats. So if we look at the Trimble field points tab, we go to the export panel here. We have different formats. Obviously, the first four are Trimble related controllers. So we have a Trimble Fielding 2.2 or newer. We have the option for Trimble Fielding 2.1 or earlier versions or older versions. Then we have the Trimble MEP version. This exports out of the DXF file, your actual background, your CAD background, and is the only option that does that. And then we have the Trimble LM80 controller, and this creates a CNX job file for that controller. And if you're using a non-Trimble controller, you want to go ahead and use the export to a CSV format. So that just goes and exports out points. For this particular training, we're going to go ahead and do a Trimble Fielding 2.2, and we're also going to do a CSV. So we're going to go ahead and start with the Trimble Fielding 2.2. And this is the first way that we're going to create a job file. Once you create a job file, then you're not going to use this format. If you want to go ahead and send out additional points to the field, you would go ahead and use a CSV format for that purpose. So let's go ahead and get started with Trimble Fielding 2.2. And in this dialog box, first thing that we want to do is select our points, or we can go ahead and select an entire drawing of points or just manual points. I'm going to go ahead and select some field points manually. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the dialog box and do a window selection in this area here for my conduits here. So I'll do a zoom out, make sure that you have all the field points in view, because if not, they won't be selected. So we do those. And then I'm going to select my control point here, and I have another control point up above. So I have my two control points and my conduit hangers there. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. I've selected 14 field points in total. I have some tracing points that are selected. So you want to look over at the point type and see which one has been selected, how many points have been selected, and then select the points that you want to export out. Further down, you scroll down a little bit if you're not open enough. The options for those points, do you want to set the points as exported? You can do that if you need. And then if you come back and export points again, you also have the option to include previously exported points if you did set them to be exported in an initial export. And then you want to ensure unique point numbers when possible, and typically you take care of that when you create your points. So you want to go ahead and leave that checked there. The next step down is select background entities. So here, do we want to include the CAD file that is associated with the drawing? So do you want to include background entities? Do you want to select individual background entities, or do you want to select the entire drawing? I'm going to go ahead and select the entire drawing on this one. And then it will tell you how many entities were selected for the background. Down below that, we have the file area, and then here we decide what directory we want to save the actual file to and the name of that file. So I'm going to go ahead and specify the directory by clicking here on the button browse option, selecting the location where I want it to, hit OK, and then giving it a name. So in this case here, I'm going to go ahead and call it conduit hanger field points, and then the job file will have that name to it, and we'll hit OK. So you want to give it a particular job file to match the job file that is going to be out and laid out. We'll get a message saying export completely successful. We'll hit OK, and then I'll bring up the location of where those points were exported out to. Here we have a TFL file. This is the Trimble Field Link job file. That is what we're going to open on the controller. And then we have a DGN and a BLDG file. These are in reference to the background entity, so you want to make sure that you copy all 4 files over to the controller so you can be able to open the job file with the points and then see the background entities. All right, so now let's talk about the other option, which is the CSV Export. And this is used for either exporting out to a non-Trimble controller, or you can use it to do an augmentation to the job file that you already have out on the field, and your field layout personnel is asking you for additional points. So we'll use the CSV format. This dialog box is slightly different. First of all, it's the same on top where we select the actual field points if we wanted to. So in this case, I'll go ahead and select field points here, and I'll go ahead and select additional ones here for my cable tray. Go all the way down the line here. And then once we select those points, it says there's selected 20 of them. And we don't have to select the control points because I'm just going to go ahead and add to the existing job file that I sent out earlier. Then we say, well, what is the options? So the options here is format. We have 3 different ways to specify: description, coordinate, point number in there. Or we can select northeasting, YXZ with description. Or do we want to do east-north? So it gives us the point number, the X, the Y, the Z, and then the description. I'm going to go ahead and specify the X, Y, Z. And you want to make sure that whatever format you specify is the same format that is going to be imported into your controller. Then we have the same options we had before, which is set objects as exported. Do we want to go ahead and select and save the points as they were exported? Do you want to include previously exported points? In this case, we didn't select any, so we don't have to worry about that checkbox. We specify the directory of where we want to save the points. It remembers the last place that you saved the points to. And then here, we're going to go ahead and rename these to cable tray, field points, and I'll hit OK. Export is fairly quickly since this is only the points that we're exporting. Completed successfully. And now when we go here to our job location folder, you see that there is a CSV file with cable tray field points. Now if you are exporting CSV file, the attribute information of the points will not carry over to the Trimble field point Trimble controller.